So I'm working on this Eppendorf centrifuge, the model 5415R. And the problem it has, and this is the second one I've seen, has to do with the speed control here. It's got a rotary mechanical encoder, and it wears out and becomes erratic. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. So you can watch the RPM display, and it should, see how it jumps from, I'm trying to reduce the speed, but it went higher. It went to 11,400 RPMs. So it's very erratic. Now it just bounces from high to low. I should be able, there's the lowest setting. It's got that's 800 RPM. And so if I rotate it very slowly clockwise, it should go to 1,000. You can feel it click, but it went to 3,000. And then the next click is up to 7,000. So it's bouncing around. So it's up to 8 and back to 5. So it's very erratic. So the problem is in the rotary encoder. It's mechanical and it wears out. So I'm going to have to take this case off and remove this printed circuit board here, remove this encoder, and install a new one. And I'll show you, I've gotten into it a little bit, but I'll back up and show you a little more. I've already got the lid off. The lid, there are these springs here that go here, and the way they orient, the springs have a long leg and a short leg. The long leg goes down into the machine like that, and the short leg sticks up. And there's also this bar here, it's an axle. It's got an E-clip on each end, and that goes through all of that, and it pins this door here. This is the lid. So you have to put the pin through, work it through all these springs, and then when you get it all the way through, this plastic piece comes down on there, and then you can flip it up and put the E-clip on. I'll show you that when I get ready to install everything. But right now I've already gotten it to this point where it's apart. And I'm going to go ahead and, there's also this magnet here. This is what allows you to, you can see when I drop the magnet on there, now it thinks the door is closed. So I could hit the button and this thing would spin up. I don't want to do that. But I can tell it to open. And if you remove the magnet and put it back, you can see it thinks it's closed, and you can see the latch engage. I'll show you. I'll zoom in, you can see that. I pull the magnet away, hit the open, put the magnet back, and it thinks it's closed and it latches. It also tells me the lid's open right there. And so I'm going to go ahead and power this down and get the case off and finish the repair here. First thing I'm going to want to do is turn it off and disconnect the power cable. You need to let it sit a while before you start messing with the PC boards. Also, these knobs, they just pull right off the front. And then to get this case off, you just lift it straight up. And you want to be careful when you pull it up, there's wiring. I rotate it to the front. And you want to disconnect all these wires. So I start with this ribbon cable here. This piece of foam goes here. Then there's a ground connection here. And a few other control cables. So from that point, I've got the cover free from the machine. So I can slide the machine out of the way. I'll let you have a look at that in a little while. But here's the cover. There's 4 screws, and then you want to remove that. They're all Phillips. Four screws. And this one holds the ground, and then this one here, like a metal plate that holds the magnet sensor. Because it's a magnetic contact. That one you can just loosen it, move it out of the way, and it'll come out. And then all these cables are clipped in. I'll show you what these screws look like. I feel like they're aluminum. Pretty lightweight. You can see they're coarse, threaded screws. And now PC board can come out. It's got these little buttons, these little white buttons that transfer the force to the actual switch. It's a good idea to just go ahead and remove those now because they pop right out, and they're easy to lose one if you are handling it. So now the hardest part of this is getting these wires out of these clips here. Here we go. That one, the adhesive failed, so that one. So now I've got the board. This is where I'm going to be working on. This is the actual piece that I'm going to replace. Show you that over there on the bench. So I've replaced the manual encoder here for the speed control, and now I'm going to install it back into the machine. First thing I'm going to do is replace these little buttons, put these back. You just transfer the force to the button. They just stick in little, I'll show you up close here. Like a little silicone socket, and they just plug in right into the middle, and they just stay there. On the left here. Now I'll run these little screws back in. This last screw here gets a round look on it as well. Magnetic switch just up in there behind that plate. And I'm going to tuck all these wires back in. Clips. And bring this back over. There's a capacitor here that's prone to damage or failure, and that's right here. It's called C824. I'll zoom in and maybe you can see it. I'm not going to replace it at this time, but because it is working. But I want to point it out. It's called C824. And I've had to replace it on other machines, this one. And what I do is just pull it straight away that way. And the two pins are exposed, and I just solder a new capacitor right on it from this side without even having to remove the board. Because the board's a little difficult to get out. There's a lot of connections to it, and there's a heat sink involved. And it's built really like a 5-minute problem if you can attach the capacitor here. And I put a 10 microfarad capacitor on there. And it is an electrolytic, so you have to pay attention to the polarity. And once you, I would note it before you pull it, but once you pull it, there'll be a polarity marking in the silk screen underneath there. So at this point, I'm going to move this around and connect everything. Chassis ground. Feel the control wires here, sensors. Just 2 connectors. They're polarized. You can only get them to go in one way. And then there's the ribbon cable, also polarized. So it'd be difficult to get it wrong. They had that one routed up in there before. Yeah, they had this piece of foam holding it right in there. Something like that. And right here is the mechanical override for the latch. There's a port you can pop out and get access to this nut here. And that will allow you to open the case, which was the problem in the last machine like this I worked on, where that C8 24 capacitor was bad and the machine would not power up at all. But at this point, all the connections are made. I'm going to go ahead and carefully lower the case. See, my foam piece decided to go away. I need to get that back. And one thing I want to point out is you have to have this retracted like that, or you won't be able to get the case to go on. So this foam is kind of disintegrated on me. I'm not sure how good of a job it's going to continue to do. Let's see here. All right, get the case on. What I'm going to do now is just simulate the running of the machine before I button it all up. Plug the power back in. Put the knobs back on here. They just slide on. They've got a little spring clips there. And so I'm going to power it up. want to test the speed control. That was the problem before. I want to test the speed control and see if it's So I'm going to go ahead and button this thing up. Turn it off. 4 screws on the bottom. Now I'm going to put the door on, or the hatch. So that involves this piece here. First I want to put the springs on. Is the long leg down. And there actually is a right and a left spring, I found out. Let's see if I put it. It has to be, if it's wound, if you try to put the left and the right, it won't fit in the hole. The holes don't line up for it. So there are a left and a right spring, which you'll figure that out when you try to put it together. And now I'm going to put the door in. So these holes here need a nylon bushing installed. And what I'm going to do is start it here. The door goes, and the door springs go right up inside these holes there. I'm going to put one bushing in on this side here since I'm working on this side. The bushing just isolates the metal-to-metal contact. Let's see here. I'm going to start by having one bushing in there. On the inside. Going through that. Now I just need to lift the spring up. You got to hold a lot of things in alignment at once to get started. So I got it there, and I'll just go ahead and get it through the spring. And now I need the other nylon bushing. It goes on the inside here. So what I can do is move this away. Enough to put that bushing in there. So I had to kind of force the whole rack it over to get it to line up. Yeah, I think this is the hardest part of the job, is getting all this back in place. So I've got the door on. And now there's an E-clip that needs to go on it. Right here. So that's the E-clip. And there's a groove it snaps into. Now put this lid on. You have to get this, also there's a magnetic switch, you can't forget that. That just sets right in place there. And you have to have the door down sort of for this cover to go in place. And then you can raise it up and install the 4 screws. It's so weird to speed. To me it seems backwards, but it doesn't matter, it's working. You can set it. I think they can live with that. Anyway, let's see if it works now. Plug it in, turn it on. Close the lid. When I close the lid, it latched. Let's make sure it opens. Cool, okay. Now I'm going to set the RPM. For slow. I'm going to turn it on. And so it's showing me the temperature and the RPM, and it's got a countdown in seconds. So this puppy's good to go. So this is the mechanical encoder that I'm going to be replacing. This is a new one. And this is, I get them from DigiKey. I still get them. So it's lit up now, it's come alive. There's a display on the front. I'm going to power it back off and put the lid on it and see how the controls are responding. And so what I'm going to do is put a magnet here. To simulate the hatch closed. And I'm going to power this on. And I'm interested to see the front display here.